This is the review of the 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLC 350e 4MATIC SUV. Wow, what a name. Now, let me break down what all this means. This is the second generation GLC from Mercedes. It's a mid-size luxury SUV. The 350e designates that this is the plug-in hybrid version, and 4MATIC, well, that's just Mercedes speak for all-wheel drive. The numerical portion of a Mercedes model name used to always equate to the displacement you'd find under the hood. That's no longer the case. This GLC 350e is the plug-in hybrid version and is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, and of course that plug-in hybrid component as well. It makes 319 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, which to be fair is quite a lot, especially from a 2-liter engine. It's paired to the 9-speed automatic transmission and Mercedes-Benz 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. And the EPA says this SUV will get 25 miles per gallon combined with city and highway driving. So let me tell you what we bought. This 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLC 350e plug-in hybrid starts at $59,900 with more than $6,000 in optional equipment, things like trailer hitch and Mercedes-Benz driver's assistance package. This vehicle also carries a destination charge of $1,150, bringing our as-tested total to $68,750. And the final point of assembly is Bremen, Germany. So the big deal here is that this is a plug-in hybrid. And what that means is it's like a regular hybrid, but we can plug it into the wall and actually charge up that battery before we head out on our trip. The EPA says this vehicle is going to get 54 miles of electric driving range, and that's pretty good for a plug-in hybrid. It's more than we see in most. And once you've used up that electric driving range, what happens is it behaves like a regular hybrid. You can use gas, the electric motor cuts in to help you out with acceleration and things like that, but it works really well. Not like one of those mild hybrid 48-volt jobs that leaves a lot to be desired. The EPA's estimated 54 miles of EV range is one of the longest ranges for a plug-in hybrid vehicle, and that's because Mercedes has fit a very large 23.3 kilowatt-hour battery pack in the cargo area floor. This is a really big battery, so big in fact that Mercedes has included DC fast charging, with speeds up to 60 kilowatts. On one hand, it seems like overkill, but with that much range available, drivers might actually want to use public DC fast charging while they're out on the road. And of course, you can also charge it with a level 2 or level 1 charger when you get to your destination. I want to take a quick second and actually thank Mercedes-Benz. They chose to fit normal, regular door handles on this vehicle. That's often overlooked, but it's truly one of the life's simple pleasures. Very easy to open, the door swings open nice and wide, and the cabin is super easy to access. One thing all of our testers really liked were these side bolsters here on the backrest. They're very prominent and they do a great job of holding it in place as you're driving going through the corners. But the seat bottom is nice and flat, and as a combination, it makes getting out of the vehicle very easy and not a chore at all. So straight away, the dashboard of the GLC is very handsome. We have this really nice dark ash wood, a couple of screens here that are pretty standard as far as Mercedes go at this point, along with a lot of the controls. But this vehicle has the optional MB Tex dashboard cover, which adds just a little bit of padding, just kind of brings it up just a little bit. One thing I don't love here in the interior is actually this black plastic trim down on the lower part of the console. They call it piano lacquer, and basically it's just shiny black plastic. It ends up showing a lot of fingerprints and scratches and smudges and things like that, and it just doesn't look very premium. At least I feel that way. I really wish this nice dark ash wood continued all the way down, kind of in a waterfall formation here. I think that would look really nice. Same thing for here on the door panel by our seat controls. It's just, again, that black plastic. I think it would look a little more premium if we had that nice wood on the door panel. So the controls in the GLC are very familiar to us at this point, very similar to a lot of other Mercedes models. But that doesn't mean that we love them. There are some issues here. So on the steering wheel, we have these touch capacitive controls, and they do take some getting used to. Things like volume you can swipe up and down for. We have some menu controls and cruise control things here. But my issue is they're actually a little bit difficult to use when I want to make an adjustment. I'm trying to adjust the volume here, and I'm moving my finger and it's not really responding to it, and I have to kind of reset and keep going. It's just clunky to use. The other downside is you're just driving along and maybe your finger swipes along one of these buttons, and before you know it, your screen has changed. You're making a turn and now you're in sport mode and you never intended to be. And that just seems backwards to me. And another thing here, the seat controls are on the door panel, which is okay. It's a Mercedes thing, but I just don't love the way they feel. There's no movement to them, and they require quite a bit of force to actually get them to do anything. And I always just feel like I'm going to break the seat control. They're just not pleasant to use, and I realize that's kind of a minor thing, but it's just every time I go to use them, I can't get past that. I really feel like I'm gonna break the switch. So this vehicle does have voice control, and it can be inconsistent. If you say the word Mercedes, it will sometimes respond to you. Sometimes you have to say, "Hey Mercedes," for it to respond. If you have a child named Mercedes, good luck. So we have the instrument cluster here just beyond the driver and the steering wheel, and it's a pretty good size. I can see it mostly. The steering wheel does block the upper corners, and that might be more of an annoyance depending on a driver's height and how they configure themselves in the car in terms of driving position. The center screen on the GLC measures 11.9 inches, and it's in a really nice kind of location here for the driver to be able to see. We have a lot of functionality here, a lot of menus. Our navigation is in here, and not only that, we have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard. From the home screen here, there are a bunch of tiles which actually look great, and they're pretty big and easy to identify, whether it's phone, radio. Let's take a look at comfort here. And I have some seat settings. I can also change the ambient light in the car if I want to. Now I need to go back, and there is a back button, but often I find myself pressing the home button. I have to press it a second time to bring the menu back up. Coming over to vehicle settings, this is where things get really complex. There's a lot of different systems you have control of that you can turn on and off and make adjustments, and it's just menu on top of menu, and this is where you can find yourself spending a lot of time and kind of getting lost, taking your eyes off the road and just spending way too much time in here, so we don't love that. The climate menu is on the bottom of our center screen here, and it always stays. If we go up here and navigate through the menus, it's still there and we still have access to it. That's really great. We enjoy that. There is a sub menu if you actually want to change the modes between air coming out the dash, air coming out the floor. That's not great. It just takes an extra step. You have to take your eyes off the road. You have to take your hand off the steering wheel to make all that happen. It would be nice if we had a couple of dedicated hard buttons to make those things a little bit easier. Mercedes has installed this row of buttons here at the bottom of the screen, and there are some sort of mission critical items here, and it's great that they're physical buttons. The first one is dynamics. What this does is it brings up some choices for us. And this being a plug-in hybrid, this is critical because we can actually choose to hold on to our battery range if we want. We can lock the vehicle into an electric mode, so we're going to use our battery range, or we can choose to operate under regular hybrid mode and then sport and individual and things like that. So that is critical to get the most out of a plug-in hybrid, and it's nice that they give you a button that's easy to reach and easy to use. Other critical items here are this one that has a little battery icon next to it. This actually shows us our state of charge of the high voltage battery. We can go in and do some route planning and things like that here as well. So again, this is critical if you want to get the most out of your plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. So overall in the GLC, visibility is pretty good, but they give us access to a parking camera here. We have 360-degree view, and I have selections. I can look in the front, I can look in the rear. We can also get side views. So because you are kind of sitting just a little bit low in this vehicle, overall visibility, like I said, is good, but it's really nice just to have quick access to these cameras for when you're doing parking lot maneuvers and things like that. You have the features, it's nice that they're easy to access, and you're going to want to use them. In the side view mode, we can actually, using the touchscreen here, maneuver our way around the vehicle so we can see what's happening in the shop around us. Actually, that does a pretty good job, if I'm honest. A little bit of distortion from the cameras, but that's to be expected in the super wide angle lenses. But we're getting really good views all the way around us. That's pretty slick. So in addition to what we've already talked about, there are a few additional buttons here. We have one that brings up certain vehicle functions for easy access. You can turn things on and off very quickly. We have our hazard light control. There's actually a fingerprint sensor here. As an owner of the vehicle, you could set up with your fingerprint that will bring up certain functions. And then of course we can control the center screen's power and volume here. Especially this volume one on the right is really nice for a passenger to use. So here in the center console, we do have a storage cubby that does have a cover on, and ours is actually not working all the best. It's a little bit kind of sticky feeling. But in here we have a couple of cup holders. They are configurable for different size vessels and things like that. There is a spot in here to put a few items, but the big thing here is your wireless phone charger. The trouble is it's all the way down in the front, and you kind of have to reach up and over and around anything else that you might have down inside this cubby, and it just makes access really difficult. And that's universal among all of our testers. We really dislike that. So just imagine you have a cup or a drink here in the center console. There's no way you can access your phone. In the backseat of the GLC, I find it very comfortable. It was easy to get into. The door opened nice and wide. The roof line isn't too swept, so there was minimal ducking in order to get in here. Plenty of headroom once seated. I would say the only kind of issue here is that there's 3 seats and 3 seat belts, but I don't think 3 of me would fit back here. 2 would be absolutely comfortable, but this middle seat is pretty narrow. So Mercedes has packed a lot of technology into the GLC plug-in hybrid, and something has to give. And that's going to happen back here in the cargo area. The first thing we notice when we open up the hatch is that the cargo floor actually bumps up just a little bit. And that's because that's where the plug-in hybrid battery is, right down here in the floor of the vehicle. They do give us a little bit of storage, and when I say a little bit, I do mean a little bit. We have a tow hook in there. There's maybe a spot for an umbrella, and that's about it. So really, you're losing space back here, but you are gaining that EV range. So there are some trade-offs. Another thing back here is we actually have a charger that comes with the car. So they give you a nice bag for it, which is great, but there's no real good place inside the vehicle to keep it. It doesn't quite fit down inside this area. There is a little bit of a pocket back here, but again, it just doesn't quite fit. It's going to kind of flop down as you go around corners and things like that. A little bit of an annoyance, but you do get the benefit of all the plug-in hybrid stuff. The other thing you can do, if you are thinking that you're a little short on cargo space here, is you can fold down those rear seats to gain some of that cargo carrying capacity back that you lose because of the floor here. One thing I really like is that this hatch opens really nice and wide. I'm not even close to hitting my head here, and if the height does become an issue, maybe either you can't reach that button or you have like a low garage, you can actually program that to stop at a lower point so you can reach it a little more easily. Because this is a plug-in hybrid, there are some trade-offs. We do lose a little bit of cargo space in the back, and we do lose about 3 gallons of fuel capacity due to space requirements within the vehicle. One thing that we don't lose is overall cargo weight carrying capabilities. Yes, we have that big heavy battery. This vehicle actually weighs about 960 pounds more than the GLC 300, but Mercedes has fit air suspension to the rear that helps deal with all that extra weight. Not to mention, we do have the optional trailer hitch, so you could do a small trailer, or realistically, things like bike racks would be great. The driving experience is what the GLC does best. We got a lot to like here. We have air suspension in the rear that really helps out the overall ride. It's nice and tight, but it doesn't really beat you up. Feel safe and secure out on the road, and a lot of our testers really did enjoy it. This being the plug-in hybrid, we actually have some options on how we can configure the drivetrain. Right now we're in hybrid mode, but we are operating as an electric vehicle. The gas motor has not turned on yet because we have 40 or more miles of electric range to go. But what's nice about this is I have nice quiet operation, but I have plenty of power. I can merge on the highway, and I can actually go highway speeds and above on electric power only. The faster you go, the less range you are going to have. You just lose efficiency. That's just kind of how EVs work. So the way I like to drive a plug-in hybrid vehicle is I keep the EV operation for when I'm around town at slower speeds or on secondary back roads. And then when I get on the highway, I like to switch it over to hybrid mode, use a little bit of gasoline, but the gas motor is very efficient out on the highway. And then I can switch it back to electric mode as I get closer to my destination and I'm off the highway and I'm back in town and on secondary roads. It's really the way to squeeze the most mileage overall out of the vehicle. And I also feel like it's the best way to get the best experience. The EV operation is just so smooth and quiet. It's really nice to use that around town when you don't have wind noise and tire noise and things like that you're competing with. So another thing that we just don't love about basically all Mercedes models is the way the brake pedal feels. This one's not the best, it's not the worst, but what happens is depending on what drive mode you're in, it can feel different. And sometimes as you're applying the brake pedal will actually drop out from underneath your foot. You find yourself really chasing that brake pedal, and it can definitely be concerning. One option we do recommend on the GLC is the Mercedes-Benz Driver's Assistance Package. It costs $1,950, but it comes with all of the important safety features. It's really kind of a way to get the most out of it and the most out of a vehicle like this with the modern technology. We're going to have things like automatic cruise control, lane keep and lane centering, automatic emergency braking with cross traffic, lane change assistance, blind spot warning and assistance, automatic emergency braking, and many more. If you're shopping for a mid-size luxury SUV, you have a lot of choice. The competition is fierce. There's the BMW X3 and the Genesis GV70. But if you're looking for a plug-in hybrid variant of that luxury mid-size SUV, your choices become a whole lot narrower. To see all of the results from our testing, as well as other luxury SUVs, check out consumerreports.org.